You'll either love or hate Utah depending on how you feel about these 10 topics. Hey, make sure to stick around to the end of this video. I'm gonna cover the one topic that is the biggest pro and the biggest con, in my opinion, of living here in Utah. Hey guys, this is Scott from the Salt Lake City Living team. Every day I get emails, text messages, and DMs from people just like you interested in relocating to the Salt Lake City market. On this channel, we cover everything you would want to know about the area and what you can expect if you're going to make Utah your home. So whether you're moving here in 5 days or 5 months, reach out to us, give us a call, text, or shoot us an email so we can help answer your questions and make it a seamless transition to Utah. And make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the latest information about living here in Salt Lake City. Let's get after it. All right, we're gonna be talking about 5 pros and 5 cons of living here in Utah. This is from my personal experience, as well as the different clients that we've helped buy or sell a house here in Utah. Some of these people have lived here for a long time. Some of these people are transplants like myself. I've lived here for the last few years now, and I can tell you that the pros and the cons were not what I initially thought when I thought about moving to Utah. So pro number 1, we're gonna talk about the job market. Utah is actually ranked as having the highest job market in the entire United States. In particular, we currently have about a 2.8% unemployment rate, which is even a full percentage point lower than the national average. With such low unemployment, Utah is one of the strongest job markets in America. In fact, according to the Wall Street Journal article here, you can see that Utah is actually ranked as the hottest job market in the entire nation. Utah is known for a couple specific industries that has really grown, especially in the last few years. In particular, the tech and finance industry, places like the Silicon Slopes in Utah County. It's also known for the healthcare and energy sector. Utah has some of the highest ranked hospital systems in the entire country, and a lot of people want to move here because of that highly ranked and integrated healthcare system. Utah is also known for the computer sciences and web development, which kind of goes along with the tech sector. You especially see that here in the Utah County area in places like Lehigh. Some of the major companies that either have headquarters here in Utah or have a major market presence are companies like Adobe, Intermountain Healthcare, Delta Airlines, Zion Bank, and even Amazon. The second big pro of living in Utah is our accessibility to the outdoors for all outdoor enthusiasts. Utah has world-renowned ski resorts that everyone's heard of in Park City, but there's also ski resorts up Little Cottonwood Canyon and Big Cottonwood Canyon. These are very, very close to where most people live in the Salt Lake Valley. If you compare our market to a market like Denver, you have to drive well over an hour, sometimes up to 2 or 3 hours, just to get from Denver to their ski resorts, whereas here in Utah, we are a close drive, sometimes only 20 to 30 minutes to get from the Salt Lake Valley to those world-renowned ski resorts. Utah is also known for their national parks. In particular, they call them the Mighty Five. Some of these national parks you've probably heard of, and some of them you probably haven't, but the Mighty Five are Arches, Bryce Canyon, Canyonlands, Capitol Reef, and Zion National Park. Because of Salt Lake City's proximity to the Wasatch Mountains, we also have very high quality hiking and biking trails. You'll see a lot of people year-round even taking advantage of those biking trails and the close proximity. Number 3 big pro is just the number of activities that we have for children or kids in that younger generation. Utah is known as having a relatively young population that has to do somewhat culturally based, and also because there's so many people and young families moving here from other markets like California and Texas. I'm gonna name some of the major attractions that a lot of people enjoy taking their kids to. And as a new father, I can tell you that I personally experienced some of these, and they are awesome to go spend a day with a family and get away with your kids. Starting with the Sandy Amphitheater, you have outdoor concerts that are really cool. They'll bring in artists, a lot of which you've heard on the radio. They'll bring in some big names for outdoor parks at the Sandy Amphitheater. We also have the aquarium near Sandy, which is awesome. I actually have an annual pass there. It's really cool to go spend time with your kids and go check out the aquatic life. We also have the Salt Lake City Zoo closer to downtown. Hard not to enjoy a day at the zoo. It's a lot of fun. And then a little bit further south between the border of Salt Lake and Utah County is Thanksgiving Point. Thanksgiving Point has activities that go year round, especially during the holiday season. You'll have tons of different activities and festivals that occur during the Thanksgiving and Christmas time of the year. For people that enjoy the performing arts, we also have the Hale Center Theater for performing arts. They host all sorts of different concerts and plays. It's a lot of fun to take your family to and enjoy a live event. Last on that list is the Lagoon Amusement Park. I haven't personally been there yet, but I've heard really, really good things about it. Think of it as Utah's version of Six Flags. They have roller coasters, all sorts of fun activities to do for kids, water rides, and all different types of attractions. The fourth pro are the restaurants and the diversity of food that you can find here in Utah. I was used to Southern food when I was stationed back east, and you would find really good barbecue, but that was about it. It was really hard to find seafood restaurants or other types of cuisine. But here in Utah, we have a really, really good mix. I'm gonna name some of my top restaurants just to give you an idea. If you're looking for sushi, which by the way, I hated sushi until I moved here to Utah, and now it's one of my favorites. I probably go to Takashi probably every other month. In particular, they have some specialty rolls that I've never seen anywhere else. Every time I go there, there's a line out the door. It's some of the best sushi that you'll find. If you like Mexican food, you gotta check out Red Iguana. They have tons of 5-star reviews. Anyone I ask, hey, what's your favorite Mexican restaurant? Almost everyone says Red Iguana, so definitely check it out. If you're looking for Italian, one of my favorite date night spots is down in Draper. It's called the Charleston. Not only is it great food, they also have outdoor seating, which is awesome during the summer months. Really good ambiance. They have a really pretty venue, and their food is amazing. All right, if you wanna go a little bit more casual, I know there's a lot of people relocating to Utah from other parts of the country. We actually have really good chicken sandwiches. There's this place called Pretty Bird, probably a national chain, but the ones that I've tried here in Salt Lake City are really good. They've got a couple different locations. It is probably the highest quality chicken sandwich I've ever had. Definitely recommend that place. And if you're looking for an awesome dessert, go check out the Dodo. It's in the Sugar House neighborhood. One of my all-time favorite restaurants. We go there all the time, and they have some of the best dessert options. Pro number 5 is the education system, which is really important for a lot of people, especially when they're considering where they want to raise their family. There's a reason why a lot of people are relocating here in Utah, and it's because we have such a highly rated school system. Beyond the public education system, we also have a bunch of colleges and Division I schools. I'm gonna name probably some you've heard of and some you might not have heard of. So we have Utah University, everyone's heard of them, downtown Salt Lake City. But if you go further south in Utah County, we actually have BYU and Utah Valley University. If you go further north, you have Utah State University and Weber State University. So right there, that's 5 D1 schools just in one market. Now, to go back to the elementary through high school level, a lot of the high schools around here are either brand new or they've been recently renovated. When I drive around to different cities showing houses, I see some of these high schools and I think it's a community college, but it's actually a middle school or high school. That's how well designed and new some of these schools are. Brand new facilities, some of the sports facilities are second to none, and the schools literally look like college campuses. The other nice thing about raising a family and having kids going to school here in Salt Lake City is that there are a ton of schools. I promise you, you will not have to commute very far. I know there's other markets out there where you have to drive maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes just to get to school. In Utah, we have so many children in all these different areas, and there's so many different elementary schools. Most are actually within walking distance of the majority of neighborhoods here. As part of this honest review, I don't want to just tell you all the good things about living here in Salt Lake City. I've lived in many different markets to include the Pacific Northwest, California, the East Coast, the South. So I'm going to tell you some of the things that I would consider cons of living in Utah and some commonalities that I hear among people who've lived here for a while. The first has to be the rush hour traffic on I-15. Every major metro has rush hour, but I-15 can be incredibly bad. I'll give you a quick example. The other day, I was driving from Sugar House down to Springville. It took me 2 hours just to drive what should only have taken me an hour. Because Salt Lake City is a relatively small market, there's somewhat of a lack of infrastructure when it comes to highways. When you're trying to go east to west or west to east across Salt Lake, there's really no freeway, so you're taking 2-lane traffic going that direction. So really the only major highway, at least through the Salt Lake Valley, is I-15, and it can be very congested during rush hour. Utah is beautiful. We have 4 seasons, but the winters here can be pretty brutal. In fact, I experienced this firsthand in my first winter in Utah. We had records amount of snow. Every morning I was out there shoveling my driveway. It can be very annoying, especially if you're not used to growing up in a snowy environment. But sometimes the winters can kind of bring a halt to everything, whether it's traffic or taking your kids to school or going to work. It can be a little bit of an inconvenience. And if you have a super long winter the last 4 or 5 months, it can be really annoying. And you're just really looking forward to the springtime when you can enjoy the outdoors again. Con number 3, Salt Lake City isn't really known for their public transportation. Now, if you rely on public transportation, you can still get from one side of the valley to the other, but it's not quite as extensive as some other metro markets. So if you have to rely on public transportation, you're gonna have to really study exactly where you're gonna have to go to be picked up and dropped off, because we don't have a super vast network of public transportation. So if you're relying on that to get to work or to get to school, definitely something to consider. The 4th con, and some people might disagree with me on this, but there's kind of an overall lack of diversity. There's not nearly as much diversity or cultural diversity in Salt Lake City compared to other major markets like Los Angeles, Chicago, New York. Salt Lake City kind of used to be a hidden gem. Really, no one would really come here unless they were part of the LDS community. It's definitely changed in recent years. It's not just the LDS community here in Salt Lake City. It's gotten a lot more diverse, but overall, it's not gonna be nearly as diverse as some of these other markets. The 5th con, and specifically real estate related, it is quite expensive to buy a home here. Now, it's not like everything is expensive, like California, where you have high food prices, high gas prices, and high real estate prices, but you for sure are going to spend quite a bit just to buy a house here. Let me give you some data. In Salt Lake County, the average sales price is over $600,000. Now, when I bought my first house in North Carolina a few years ago, I paid $160,000 for a brand new home. That probably wouldn't even get you like a mobile home in Salt Lake City. It is quite expensive to buy a home. In Utah County, which is the 2nd biggest county in the Salt Lake City market, is just as bad. It's about $550,000 for the median sales price of a single family home. Davis County, which is just north of Salt Lake, that takes you from Bountiful, Farmington, Layton, in those areas, the median sales price is $575,000. So a little bit better than Salt Lake, but in general, this whole area can be pretty expensive and really tough, especially for first-time home buyers trying to get their foot in the door with real estate. All right, so here's the bonus round. I've given you the good, I've given you the bad. Now I'm gonna give you the number 1 factor that in my opinion is both the biggest pro, but also potentially the biggest con of living in Salt Lake City, and it's the LDS church. Now, not growing up LDS, it might seem weird to relocate to Salt Lake City. There's sort of the stigma that everyone here is Mormon, which is not necessarily true. However, you should understand that that is sort of how Salt Lake City was established and has grown over the years. Salt Lake City tends to be a more conservative area given that religious background. To give you an idea of the overall politics and the culture here in Salt Lake, in the 2020 election, 58% of the popular vote was for the Republican nominee, while 37% was for the Democratic nominee. Salt Lake City also has relatively strict liquor laws. Now, that can be good and it can be bad. Certainly, it's a hassle if you want to go buy alcohol on the weekends. Virtually nothing is going to be open on Sundays. Everything kind of shuts down. But having that stricter liquor laws also inhibits commercial and the growth and business opportunities, especially for things like restaurants downtown. Now, all of this isn't necessarily directly tied to the LDS Church, but just to give you an idea of the overall culture, these are important considerations if you're going to make the move here. And again, because the overall population has a higher than average religious affiliation, everything shuts down on Sundays. So if you need to go and run a bunch of errands, a lot of businesses are going to be closed, which makes it a little bit more inconvenient to get things done on the weekends. If you want to get more information about what it's like living here in Salt Lake City, make sure to check out some of our other videos where we break down different markets and what you can expect if you're going to make Utah your home. And whether you're going to move here in 5 days or 5 months, shoot us a call, a text, or an email. Let us know if we can help answer some questions to help you make that smooth move to the Salt Lake City market.